All right, so we have some controversy with Deshaun Watson, where a lot of people are wondering if he's really trying for the Cleveland Browns or if he instead is kind of just content with taking a paycheck and having that be that. He does obviously have the most guaranteed money in NFL history. We all know about all of that stuff. And with this injury, there's been some controversy. So several things we'll have to go over. The initial story that came out was Deshaun Watson was considered okay to play. This is a couple weeks ago. Deshaun Watson was considered medically available. However, he did not end up playing, and there was reports that some of the teammates were disappointed and not thrilled with Deshaun Watson not playing. Now, again, if you follow this channel, you know I always view reports like that as simply what they are, rumors. We don't know if it's true or not. A lot of the times these things tend to not be true, but sometimes they are true. So it's a rumor. It might be true, it might not be true. Now, what we know about the injury is that it is a strained rotator cuff in his throwing shoulder, which so I can't fully speak on all injuries. I don't know exactly how his injury works. This is actually something I have some experience with. I had a shoulder injury with my right shoulder not too long ago. So I actually, have done a decent amount of research into this stuff just when I was going through that. And, for me, it was not a torn rotator cuff. It was, not as serious as I believe what Deshaun Watson is currently going through. But I did not have mobility in my arm for a while, and to be clear, it appears that the Watson isn't a torn rotator cuff, a strained rotator cuff, but still, it was a while before I could even lift my arm above my head like this. It took a while for that to happen. So the idea for me trying to throw a football, potentially a month after that happened, it just would not go well. And so if this is a similar injury to what Deshaun Watson has, to me, I think it's almost insane that he would be out there in the first place. And what Cleveland said and what Deshaun Watson said about the injury was that he was medically available to go. It wasn't going to be, risking too much for him to play. However, he wouldn't have been essentially good enough to play, which in my opinion, I can't remember if I said this at the time, but I believe it, which is, I think Kevin Stefanski, this is kind of your job as a coach to help manage this stuff. I kind of think to some degree it was on him a little bit to say, hey, we're not letting you play. Even if that's not true, even if you would have let him play and he says no, just go out and say, take the fall here and say, we're protecting Deshaun Watson from himself. We don't think that with the injury, it'll go well. That way you can kind of keep the locker room vibes going, right? That's how I view it. But at the end of the day, it does seem reasonable that this injury is affecting his throwing ability. Again, it's the main ligament that you throw with. This isn't just some small thing. It's not like he has like the Joe Burrow calf injury thing. It's okay, that probably affects how you throw, but how much, it's hard to say. This is the main thing that helps you throw the football. So if it's not 100%, you're not going to play well. That just makes sense to me. Now, there was more controversy, and the reason why I'm making this video is he started the game, didn't look good, was 1 for 5 with an interception, could have been another interception on today, really a disastrous start for Deshaun Watson, then got hurt and was not able to come back into the game, but he was on the sideline. It was, again, it seemed like Stefanski said, okay, we're not going to have you come back. We want to protect our franchise quarterback, all of that stuff, which was a bit confusing for a lot of people. So going over here, but first I want to be clear, I am about to show the injury, so if you are someone who's a bit, doesn't love to see this kind of thing, I would advise to, avert your eyes as I'm about to play it. I'm going to play it now. But you see, he's going to get pushed to the ground, and it looked like it was like a concussion type injury at first, but it doesn't appear to be the case. I don't think this was, he did go to concussion protocol, but that's not the main issue. It was it was kind of about the injury itself. To me, this does check out. I know he didn't land right on his shoulder, but again, I just think about my own personal injury, and if I had fallen like this, it would have really hurt. There were moments when I just sat up too fast, and it really hurt. So, the idea that, this could be something to cause him to be out of the game for a while, it does check out to me, given my non-medical experience here. Listen, at the end of the day, there's plenty of reasons to dislike Deshaun Watson, right? You don't have to stretch too far if you want to find reasons to dislike him. To me, this would be stretching. I don't think this is a valid reason to get mad at a player. I do think it is fair to say that for the Cleveland Browns, maybe some PR could have been better, because again, if it's true that some of the teammates were actually frustrated with him not playing, then you do have to communicate that better, and that is an issue for sure. But at the same time, it is one of those things where I don't know how much you expect him to actually be able to play here. It feels to me like the obvious solution here is you shut him down, let him get healthy, and then have him play again. What we saw against the Colts looked like a quarterback who couldn't throw the football. And, again, I don't know enough about some of these injuries to fully say it, but sometimes you have compensation injuries that can pop up. Sometimes you can stretch out the ligament, make things worse. Those are things that can happen. I don't know if that can happen in this case. Again, not a doctor here, but it does feel like it feels like a mistake in terms of if you're trying to protect him, and also just feels like a mistake from a football perspective. It's always one of those things where people want to have the starting player in, they want to have the star player in, the guy you're paying a ton of money towards. But at the end of the day, if Deshaun Watson can barely throw the football, I don't care what your thoughts are on PJ Walker. He's the better option in that scenario. You need a quarterback who can throw the football if you're going to have a chance to win a football game. That's just how that works. And so that's kind of the way I view it. Again, is Deshaun Watson quitting on the team and just trying to collect the paycheck? I guess, I don't think so, right? Why would he do that? He's still a very young player. This isn't going to be his only contract in the NFL. Yes, he's making a lot of money. Sure, I guess he could, fake an injury and then be done with it. But why? Why not just go out and play football? These guys usually are very competitive. Deshaun Watson, I know, has talked a lot about how much his football legacy means to him. I know he talked about that a lot when he was in Houston. So, seems like one of those things where I feel like he really cares about playing well. I think that he would want to continue to play well, and there'd be a lot of financial incentive, maybe not in the near future, but, still in 4 or 5 years, he's going to get another paycheck. He wants to be playing well when that happens. So, again, plenty of reasons to dislike Deshaun Watson. I get why people are maybe a little quick to talk about him being a quitter on his team and all that stuff. There just isn't the evidence there. There just isn't. It seems like he has a legitimate injury, and these things are usually as what the team is saying. I know everyone loves a good conspiracy theory, but I just don't think that's happening here. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this unique scenario. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.